Learning goals and success criteria are critical pieces of information students need to be successful learners. Students and teachers must hold a common understanding of what is to be learned and what successful achievement looks like. With explicit goals and criteria, students have the beginnings of what they need to become independent, self-monitoring learners. Learning goals identify for students where they are going in their learning.
We use goals to help guide us through what our task is on that particular day. And those goals that we use on a daily basis, they're actually related to the curriculum expectations that are provided by the ministry, by the government.
Once identified, the learning goals become an integral part of the learning process, guiding the teacher's instruction as well as the students' efforts to focus their learning.
So what I'd like you to do is think about today's learning goal, and I'd like someone just to draw our attention to it, please, if someone could read it for me. John?
I can gather evidence that identifies the different points of view.
For students to be able to independently monitor their progress, they need to have a clear understanding of the goals. This understanding begins to be developed when the goals are shared and continues to grow as instruction progresses. Teachers facilitate this understanding by displaying the goals in the classroom, asking students to record the goals in writing.
So what I would like you to do is I would like you to copy the learning goal onto your sheet.
Having students reflect on and discuss their meaning.
So I'm going to ask you to take a minute and talk to your partner or your threesome just about what the learning goals are and what do they mean.
During learning, students deepen their understanding of the goals as teachers make explicit connections between the goals, the learning activities, and the opportunities students will have to demonstrate their achievement of the learning goals.
I'd like you just to take a moment and talk about where you think you are in terms of your learning goal, because remember, it's leading us to our culminating task, the big project that we're going to do at the end.
By explicitly connecting feedback from teacher, peer, and self to the learning goals, students continue to strengthen their understanding.
So it sounds like me that you girls are at the stage where you're planning out what you're going to say in your final project. So you obviously feel comfortable with the learning goal then, that you've got all the information that you need to get yourselves organized. So you're going to make sure that you offer up both points of view for whoever you choose. All right, Cameron, what about yourself? How do you feel in terms of the learning goal so far?
I was able to separate the different arguments based on their point of view, but that I was lacking a bit of information on one side of the argument.
Okay, so obviously then the next step for you is going to be to
get more information on that side.
Asking students specific questions about the learning goals brings greater clarity.
Are there any things in those learning goals that you don't understand? Are there any words that you don't understand? Are there any words that you haven't seen before, they haven't worked with before?
Polynomials.
It's kind of hard to do all of the work that's up there with a polynomial expression if you don't know what a polynomial is.
When learning goals use subject-specific terminology, teachers signal the importance of the words and can use the learning goals as a starting point for review or new learning.
I'm going to ask you to take about 30 seconds to think about what it is. Then share it with your partner, and then when the partners think they have something, we will share it together. Who would like to share with the group what a polynomial is?
An algebraic equation or expression, which consists of addition, subtraction, and letters. Is that right?
Another way to ensure that students have a deep understanding of the learning goal is to develop or co-construct it with them. The teacher and students begin with the specific expectation, and they work together to develop a statement that is meaningful and understood by all.
We've talked about learning goals a lot, and we've talked about the fact that the learning goal comes from the document that teachers use to figure out what you need to know. One of the problems with using a learning goal that comes right out of the document is that sometimes the language that's used is difficult to understand. So this morning, we're going to take a look at the learning goal, and we're going to see which words are keywords, which words we understand, and which words we can get rid of or change and use a different word. And hands up, I'd like to know some of the words that you think we absolutely need to keep in there. Keegan.
Explain.
Explain. I think that's a good one too. Explain. We need that word. Okay? And how have I asked you to explain this assignment? I've asked you to explain it in two ways. What's one?
With the learning goals clearly established, both the teacher and the students are able to measure progress toward achieving the goals at the end of each day's learning and determine next steps.
At the end of the class, you'll reflect on how close you are to the learning goal, and you'll also write down any steps that you need to take to get you there.
Okay, so at this point in the lesson, we are going to assess whether you have met the learning goal. So the final learning goal over there says that you are going to be able to, by the end of the class, simplify polynomial expressions through addition and subtraction. What I would like you to do on your whiteboard is copy this polynomial expression, and then I would like you to simplify it. Once you're done, put your whiteboard up, and I will verify that your answer is correct.
By ensuring that students clearly understand the learning goal, teachers set the stage for students to be able to focus their efforts on achieving the goal, monitoring their progress, and setting their own goals.
It's challenged me to think a little bit differently. Initially, it looked overwhelming. I sat down with some other teachers, talked about it a little bit, and set a learning goal, a one-sentence learning goal for a lesson that I already had, and worked more towards that, and it's made a major difference. As far as marking, it's been a pleasure to mark their work because the majority of their work is much better than it was even early on in the year when we were just getting into learning goals and setting success criteria, and they weren't quite so good at it. It's improved even considerably since then.
A viewer's guide has been developed to enhance your professional learning while viewing this video. The Learning Goals and Success Criteria inventory in this viewer's guide is intended to help assess your current practice, guide your professional learning, and measure your growth over time as you continue to use this resource.